Almost everywhere you turn in this city of 80,000 people, there's a similar scene of destruction and desperation. From 2 unforgiving years of extreme weather, first Hurricane Laura, then Hurricane Delta, then an ice storm, most recently a tornado, forcing tens of thousands from their homes. On the surface, it seems like Mother Nature's wrath is random.
So this is where we actually had a lot of black businesses.
But talk to Tasha Guidry, and she's quick to correct you.
I always say that natural disasters don't discriminate, but recovery always does.
And that's what it means to live in cities like Lake Charles, a community on the front lines of extreme climate. In this city, the hardest hit neighborhoods are mostly Black, Latino, and poor. Just last year, a row of Black-owned businesses stood here.
Most of them were either underinsured or the damage was too extensive for them to not be able to rebuild.
Tasha describes Lake Charles as a city divided.
Every time we're hit with a storm, it's always our areas that are hit the hardest, and we're the ones with the least amount of relief, monetary or financial relief in order to rebuild. We don't have the hope anymore that we used to, and it makes it hard for us to want to have to rebuild and reinvest in our community because it seems as if nobody else cares.
Does it anger you that this is an empty field and just, another part of town, it's rebuilt like new?
Oh, absolutely.
In Tasha's neighborhood, all we saw were demolitions, blue tarps, red tags. This was once a family-owned auto repair shop.
We've been promised economic development, but we're not seeing anyone wanting to come to North Lake Charles to want to invest in it, to revitalize it.
Leaving isn't an option for the most vulnerable in public housing.
I'm tired.
Bridget Reed has cancer and has nowhere to go.
My immune system is not up. I stay back and forth in the hospital. Behind this, 58 years old. Been staying here 6 years, but they don't want to help me. They saying they don't have another unit to put me in. Right now we're seeing mold and mildew.
Her daughter invited us in to see for ourselves what the hurricanes left behind.
My bedroom is all mold and mildew. I can't stay in it. I've called the mayor, I've called Baton Rouge for the governor. I've just been making a lot of calls and nobody's helping, nobody's reaching out to me.
Bridget is one of many in this state that hugs the Gulf Coast. They bear the burden of extreme weather. Louisiana has one of the highest poverty rates in the country. We met Louisiana's governor on the same day he was leaving for Glasgow for COP26.
What do you plan to tell the world at COP26 about women like Bridget, many of whom live in your state, who are at the front lines of extreme climate?
Yeah. Well, obviously, I was just talking about unmet need, and the unmet need is typically the needs of poor people who don't own their own homes, or if they do, they can't afford insurance. And so when you have these severe weather events that cause catastrophic damage, they typically are the ones who suffer the most.
Louisiana is in a rut.
Beverly Wright says politicians are still moving too slow. For decades, she's watched them fail vulnerable communities.
Why is nobody listening to them when we know that they're going to be directly impacted by the extreme climate that's coming, that's already here?
There's a long and complicated answer to that question, but also a simple one: racism. You have to remember where we are. We're in the deep South with a Confederate culture. They respond to maintain the status quo, however it is, and they play to the people who don't believe that there's climate change. They're going to be all right. No matter what, they're going to be all right. All of this is made up. They're exaggerating.
If these storms continue, that's exactly.
Deacon Errol DeVille will tell you there's no exaggerating what he's witnessed in the last 2 years.
I mean, these storms aren't coming every 50 years.
They are coming way more often now.
And you just have to live with it.
Or move, and these people can't move. This parish will die. The city's not going to die, but it's going to go into decline.
Convincing people to rebuild is tough when everywhere you look, there's rubble.
It's been surreal, and to know that the response has not been there. Unfortunately for us, we just keep going, and we hope that the help does come eventually. Every time it rains.
Until then, Tasha says she'll keep talking to anyone who will listen, even if it means showing the harsh realities of the place she calls home.
For us to be the poster child of natural disasters, absolutely. Can we take another one? No, we can't.
For that reason, Tasha says she refuses to give up. She's hoping her community will do the same. Chris Reyes, CBC News, Lake Charles, Louisiana.